Fiancée asked for break to explore feelings with her ex before wedding, so I called off engagement and told her leave. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Thank you very much. Now let's begin the video. So since some of you have requested the complete tale, I guess I should start at the beginning. This is going to be long, but whatever. Okay Reddit, I need some perspective because my head is still spinning, and I honestly never thought I would be posting something like this on our relationship advice or maybe even r/am I the asshole territory. I do not know anymore. Here is the situation. I am David, 30 years old, male. My now ex-fiancée, let's call her Stella, is 29 years old. We were together for 5 amazing years, or so I thought. We got engaged a little over a year ago, and the wedding was scheduled for just 3 months from now. Everything was planned, deposits were paid, invitations were about to be sent out. We were supposed to be in the final stretch, the exciting part, you know. We met in our mid-20s through mutual friends. She was vibrant, funny, smart, and we just clicked instantly. Our relationship progressed naturally. We moved in together after about a year and a half, built a home, adopted a slightly neurotic but lovable golden retriever named Max, and generally just enjoyed being partners. We talked about everything, our dreams, our fears, our future. Marriage felt like the logical, happy next step. The proposal was romantic, maybe a bit cliché but perfect for us. It was on our 4th anniversary, during a trip to the coast. I had the ring, I had a speech prepared, which I mostly forgot in the moment, and she cried and said yes. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. The past year has been a whirlwind of wedding planning. Choosing the venue, tasting cakes, arguing good-naturedly about the guest list, picking out flowers, the whole 9 yards. Sure, it was stressful at times like everyone warns you, but overall it felt exciting. We were building towards this huge, beautiful milestone together. We had disagreements like any couple, mostly minor things like who forgot to take the trash out or whose turn it was to walk Max in the rain. But we always communicated and worked through them. I genuinely believed we had a rock-solid foundation. Stella has an ex-boyfriend, let's call him Jonathan. They dated for about 2 years on and off during college and shortly after. From what Stella told me over the years, it was a pretty tumultuous relationship. Lots of drama, breakups, makeups. She always described it as passionate but ultimately unhealthy and incompatible. They broke up for good about a year before Stella and I met. She assured me numerous times that she was completely over him, that he was part of her past, and that meeting me showed her what a stable, loving relationship felt like. I believed her, why wouldn't I? Jonathan was just a footnote, a closed chapter. He lived in a different city, and as far as I knew, they had 0 contact. Occasionally his name might pop up in an anecdote about her college days, but it never felt threatening or weird. It was just history. So, fast forward to last week. We were having a quiet night in, just finished dinner, watching some mindless television show. Max was snoozing at our feet. Everything felt normal, comfortable. Then Stella turned to me, looking unusually serious, almost nervous. She started talking about the wedding getting closer, about the finality of it all, about making sure everything was absolutely right before taking such a big step. I agreed, thinking maybe she just had some standard pre-wedding jitters. Lots of people get cold feet, right? I was prepared to reassure her, talk through any anxieties she had about the planning or the marriage itself. But then she dropped the bomb. She said she had been thinking a lot about her past, specifically about Jonathan. She said that with the wedding approaching, she felt this nagging uncertainty, this what-if feeling regarding him. She tried to explain it away as needing closure, needing to be 100% sure she was closing that door forever before opening the marriage door with me. And then came the kicker. She asked if we could take a break, not just a pause in wedding planning, but a relationship break. And during this break, she wanted to go see Jonathan, spend some time with him, talk things through, and explore those lingering feelings to make sure, absolutely sure, that I was the one she wanted to marry. Read it, I was stunned. Speechless, it felt like the air got sucked out of the room. A break, to explore feelings, with her ex, 3 months before our wedding. It sounded like something out of a terrible romantic comedy, except it was my life and it was not funny at all. I think my first coherent thought was, is this a joke? But the look on her face, earnest and pleading, told me she was dead serious. I asked her to repeat herself, hoping I had misheard. She did. She reiterated that she loved me, that she wanted to marry me, but she could not walk down that aisle with even a shadow of a doubt related to Jonathan. She framed it as something she needed to do for herself, and ultimately for us, so our marriage would be built on absolute certainty. She said seeing him again would probably just confirm that he was a mistake and that I was her future, but she needed to know for sure. She suggested maybe a few weeks. She would go visit him. He still lives a few hours away, and then she would come back, hopefully completely reassured and ready to be fully present for our wedding and marriage. I just stared at her. All the love, the trust, the 5 years of history we built felt like it was crumbling around me. How could she even suggest this? The absolute disrespect, the sheer audacity of asking her fiancé for permission to go test drive her ex-boyfriend before committing to marriage. It was insulting. It was humiliating, and honestly, it was heartbreaking. It told me everything I needed to know about her supposed commitment to me and our future. My initial shock quickly morphed into a cold, hard clarity. There was no way in hell this was happening. This wasn't about closure. This was about her wanting to keep her options open, wanting to potentially sleep with her ex-boyfriend under the guise of finding certainty, and then expecting me to just wait patiently at home, ready to pick up the pieces and marry her if her little exploration did not pan out. The level of selfishness was astounding. I did not yell. I did not cry, not then anyway. I just felt this sudden, profound wave of disappointment and anger wash over me. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, the woman I was going to spend my life with, and I saw someone else entirely. Someone who clearly did not value me or our relationship enough to resist chasing a ghost from her past. Someone willing to gamble everything we had built on a whim, on a what if. I told her, very calmly, that her request itself was the answer she was looking for. If she felt the need to explore anything with anyone else, especially an ex known for drama mere weeks before our wedding, then she clearly was not ready or willing to marry me. I said that marriage requires absolute commitment, trust, and the understanding that you choose your partner every single day, especially when faced with temptation or doubt from the past. Her needing a break to see Jonathan proved she was not capable of that commitment, at least not with me. She started to protest, saying I was misunderstanding, that it was not like that, that she loved me. She tried to frame it as a sign of her honesty, that she was being upfront about her doubts instead of hiding them. I cut her off. I told her honesty without respect is just cruelty. Her honesty in this case was just a confession that our relationship, our engagement, our impending marriage, was not enough for her. I said, Stella, if you need to see Jonathan to know if you want to marry me, then you do not want to marry me. It is that simple, and I deserve someone who is sure. Someone who does not need to revisit past relationships to validate their choice. So no, we are not taking a break, we are breaking up, the engagement is off, the wedding is canceled. She looked utterly shocked, as if this outcome hadn't even crossed her mind. Tears started welling up in her eyes. She started pleading, saying it was just a thought, maybe a stupid idea, that we could forget she ever mentioned it. But the damage was done. The trust was irrevocably broken. How could I ever stand at the altar with her, wondering if she was secretly wishing she was with Jonathan, or if she would ask for another break down the line whenever some other doubt crept in? I told her I could not forget it. It fundamentally changed how I saw her and us. I asked her to pack her things and leave. Our apartment is technically mine. I owned it before she moved in, though she contributed to bills. But in that moment I just wanted her gone. I could not stand to look at her. She cried, she argued, she begged. She said I was overreacting, throwing away 5 years over a moment of uncertainty. But to me, it was not just a moment. It was a revelation of her true priorities and her lack of respect for me and our commitment. I stood firm. I told her she made her choice the moment she decided seeing her ex was more important than honoring our engagement. Eventually, she realized I was serious. She started packing a bag, sobbing the whole time, occasionally trying to appeal to me again, reminding me of good times, telling me I was making a huge mistake. It was brutal. Watching the person you loved, the person you planned a future with, pack their life into a suitcase because they essentially wanted to cheat, or at least seriously entertain the idea, right before the wedding. It is an experience I would not wish on anyone. She asked where she was supposed to go. I suggested a friend's place, her parents', or maybe even Jonathan's place, since she was so keen on seeing him anyway. That last part was maybe unnecessarily harsh, but I was hurting and angry. She ended up calling a friend and left a couple of hours later. The silence in the apartment after she closed the door was deafening. Max seemed confused, whining softly and looking between me and the door. I just sank onto the couch and finally let myself break down. The next few days were a blur of logistics and emotions. Canceling the venue, the caterer, the photographer, the band. Losing thousands of dollars in non-refundable deposits. Calling my parents, my siblings, my close friends, and telling them the wedding was off. Enduring the awkward questions, the pitying looks, the well-meaning but unhelpful advice. It was humiliating and exhausting. My parents were furious on my behalf, but also incredibly supportive. My friends rallied around me, taking me out, keeping me distracted, letting me vent. Stella tried calling and texting relentlessly for the first few days, alternating between apologies, justifications, and anger that I threw everything away so quickly. I ignored most of it. I told her we could discuss practicalities like her remaining belongings later, but the relationship was over, non-negotiable. I needed space. So here I am, Reddit, a week later. Sitting in my suddenly too quiet apartment, surrounded by wedding spreadsheets and half-addressed invitation envelopes that will never be sent. I feel numb, angry, heartbroken, and strangely, a little bit relieved. Relieved that this happened now, before we were legally married, before kids, before our lives became even more entangled. But the pain is immense. 5 years is a long time. You build a life, a routine, shared dreams. Undoing all of that hurts like hell. Did I overreact? Was there a way to salvage this, maybe through counseling, or by giving her the space she asked for, even though it felt like a betrayal? Part of me wonders if I was too harsh, too quick to pull the plug. But another, stronger part feels like her request was such a fundamental breach of trust that there was no coming back from it. Am I the asshole for ending it immediately instead of trying to work through her doubts? What would you have done? I really need some outside perspective right now. Update 1. Wow, okay. First off, thank you, Reddit. I posted this late last night, feeling completely lost and just needing to get it all out. I honestly did not expect this kind of response. My phone has been blowing up with notifications all day. Reading through your comments has been incredibly validating. Seriously, the overwhelming majority of you confirmed what my gut was telling me. That Stella's request was completely out of line, and ending the engagement was the right call. So many of you shared similar stories or pointed out the massive red flags I maybe downplayed over the years. Thank you for the support, the advice, and even the tough love. It helps more than you know. A few common themes in the comments. Many people suggested her need for closure was just a flimsy excuse to cheat or reconnect with Jonathan without immediate consequences. A lot of you said that if she truly respected me and the relationship, she would have dealt with her doubts internally or with a therapist, not by asking for a hall pass 3 months before the wedding. I completely agree. Looking back, her framing it as honesty feels even more manipulative now. It was honesty designed to get her what she wanted, regardless of how it destroyed me. There were a few comments suggesting I might have been too hasty, that maybe couples counseling could have helped. I appreciate that perspective too, but honestly, reading the vast majority of responses echoing my own feelings has solidified my decision. The trust required for marriage was fundamentally broken the moment she made that request. Counseling cannot magically rebuild that kind of foundation-shattering betrayal, at least not for me, not right before we were supposed to commit our lives to each other. So, what has happened since I posted? Well, Stella has continued to try and contact me. The tone has shifted slightly. Fewer apologies, more attempts at guilt-tripping. Texts like, "I cannot believe you threw away 5 years like this," or, "Our friends think you are being incredibly cold and unreasonable." She even tried to message me through a mutual friend's social media account after I blocked her number temporarily to get some peace. I have not responded directly. I sent one final text saying I needed space and would contact her when I was ready to arrange for her to get the rest of her stuff. I also heard through the grapevine, specifically from my best friend, whose girlfriend is friendly with one of Stella's friends, that Stella did, in fact, reach out to Jonathan almost immediately after she left my apartment. Apparently, she told her friend she was just trying to process things and get his perspective. Yeah, right, his perspective on what? How to effectively blow up your life? It just confirms my decision was the right one. Whether she actually went to see him yet, I do not know, and frankly, I do not care. That bridge is burned. The practical stuff continues. I spent most of today on the phone dealing with more wedding cancellation fallout. Some vendors were surprisingly understanding, others less so. The financial hit is significant, but honestly, it feels like a small price to pay compared to marrying someone who clearly wasn't all in. I have also started boxing up Stella's remaining belongings. It is painful picking up things that were part of our shared life, but it also feels necessary. A step towards closure, my own kind of closure, the kind that does not involve running off to an ex. My parents are coming to visit this weekend to help and offer support. My mom basically said, "Good riddance to bad rubbish," which made me laugh despite everything. My friends have been amazing, ensuring I am not alone unless I want to be. So, yeah, that is the update for now. Still hurting, still angry, but feeling more certain than ever that I did the right thing for myself. Thank you again, Reddit, for being a sounding board and providing so much clarity. It really helps knowing I am not crazy for reacting the way I did. Update 2. Hello again, Reddit. It has been about 3 weeks since my original post and my first update. Once again, thank a million times over for the continued support and messages. It is weirdly comforting to have thousands of strangers rooting for you when your life feels like it is imploded. My phone finally stopped buzzing constantly, but I have reread many of the comments, especially when I start to second-guess myself, which still happens occasionally, usually late at night. Life is slowly finding a new, albeit unwanted, normal. The initial shock has worn off, replaced by a sort of dull ache and lingering anger, but also a growing sense of peace, if that makes sense, like I dodged a massive bullet. The biggest news is that Stella came to collect the rest of her things last weekend. I arranged for my sister to be there with me, partly for moral support and partly to ensure things remained civil and focused solely on logistics. Stella tried to talk, to apologize again, to explain her actions, or lack thereof, depending on how you see it. She looked tired and sad. She claimed she never actually went to see Jonathan. She said she reached out to him in a moment of panic and confusion after I ended things, but he apparently was not receptive. Shocker. Maybe he actually grew up. She insisted her request for a break was a massive mistake born out of pre-wedding panic, not a genuine desire to get back with him. I listened, mostly impassively. My sister did a great job of gently redirecting the conversation back to the task at hand whenever Stella tried to rehash the relationship. Did I believe her? Honestly, I do not know. Maybe she did not see him. Maybe she did and it did not go well. Maybe she is just saying what she thinks I want to hear now that the reality of the breakup has sunk in. But here is the thing, Reddit. It does not matter anymore. Whether she saw him or not, whether her panic was genuine or manipulative, the fact remains that she was willing to throw our entire future into jeopardy for a what-if concerning her ex. That fundamental lack of judgment and respect is something I cannot unsee or forgive in the context of marriage. There was one slightly awkward moment regarding the engagement ring. She asked if I wanted it back. According to etiquette, I think she is supposed to return it since she effectively broke off the commitment. But honestly, I told her to keep it or sell it or throw it in a river. I did not care. I did not want it back. It felt tainted. Seeing it just brought back the pain of her betrayal. She looked surprised but took it. Maybe she will get a few bucks for it, good for her, I guess. She needs a deposit for a new place probably. Getting her stuff out of the apartment was a huge step. It looks emptier now but also cleaner, less cluttered with memories I am trying to move past. I have started rearranging furniture, trying to make the space feel like mine again, not ours. It is helping slowly. The wedding cancellation process is mostly complete. Managed to get partial refunds from a couple of vendors, which was unexpected and appreciated. The financial loss still stings, but I am trying to view it as the cost of escaping a potentially disastrous marriage. My parents helped cover some of the non-refundable losses, bless them, even though I told them they did not have to. I have also had some difficult conversations with mutual friends. A couple of them seem to think I should have given Stella another chance, buying into her moment of panic narrative. I explained my reasoning calmly but firmly. Most understood, but I get the feeling one or two friendships might be strained going forward. It hurts, but I cannot control how others react. I need to prioritize my own well-being right now. I have started going to the gym more regularly, channeling some of the anger and frustration into something productive. Also considering talking to a therapist, as many of you suggested. I think it might be helpful to unpack everything with a neutral third party, so that is where things stand. No dramatic confrontations, just the slow, painful process of untangling a life built with someone who turned out not to be the person I thought she was. Still a long road ahead, but feeling like I am heading in the right direction. Thanks again for listening, Reddit. Update 3. Hey everyone, it has been a few months now since this whole nightmare started. Posting these updates has become almost therapeutic, a way to track my own progress and process everything that happened. The support here continues to be amazing, thank you all. Life is definitely looking up. The constant ache has faded significantly, replaced by a sense of forward momentum. The apartment feels like home again, my home. I have fully settled into my new routine. Work is busy, which is a good distraction. I did start seeing a therapist, and it has been incredibly helpful. Talking through the betrayal, the anger, the grief, and my own role in perhaps missing earlier red flags, hindsight is 20/20, right, has been eye-opening and healing. My therapist helped me see that my reaction, ending things immediately, was not an overreaction but a valid act of self-preservation and boundary setting. Hearing that from a professional was very affirming. What about Stella? Well, I have maintained no contact, and it has been crucial for my healing. I blocked her number again after the belongings pickup fiasco just to remove the temptation for either of us to reach out. However, news travels in friend circles. I heard indirectly that she moved back in with her parents temporarily and is apparently having a rough time. Part of me feels a pang of sympathy, remembering the good times and the person I loved. But that feeling is quickly overshadowed by the memory of her request and the disrespect it represented. I truly wish her no ill will. I hope she figures her stuff out, but her journey is no longer tied to mine. Interestingly, I also heard that Jonathan, the infamous ex, apparently got engaged to his long-term girlfriend shortly after Stella reached out to him. So, even if Stella had gone to see him, it seems that door was firmly closed anyway. It adds another layer of patheticness to her whole closure excuse, doesn't it? It seems she was potentially willing to detonate her life for someone who was never even an option. Or maybe she knew he was engaged, and that was part of some weird self-sabotage. Who knows? Honestly, trying to understand her motives at this point feels like a waste of energy. Her actions spoke louder than any justification she could offer. My social life is getting back on track. I've reconnected with friends I had maybe neglected a bit during the intensity of wedding planning and the relationship. We have been hiking, going to concerts, grabbing drinks. It feels good to laugh and just be myself again, without the weight of the impending wedding or the subsequent fallout. My friends have been fantastic, respecting my need for space when I needed it and pulling me out of the house when I risked isolating myself. Financially, I have recovered from the wedding deposit losses. It set me back a bit, but nothing catastrophic. I am actually enjoying having a bit more disposable income now that I am not saving for or paying off wedding-related expenses. Silver linings, I guess. Max the dog is doing great. He seems happier now that the tension in the apartment is gone. Lots of walks, trips to the dog park. He is a constant source of comfort and unconditional love, which has been invaluable. So overall, things are good. Better than good, actually. Healing is not linear. There are still occasional moments of sadness or anger, but they are fleeting. Mostly, I feel relieved and optimistic about the future. Ending the engagement was painful, but absolutely the right decision. Thank you, Reddit, for helping me see that clearly from the start. Update 4. Hello, Reddit. One last time on this particular saga. It has been just over a year since I first posted here, completely blindsided and heartbroken after calling off my wedding. A lot can change in a year. Reading back my original post feels like reading about someone else entirely. The pain and confusion I felt then seems so distant now. First and foremost, I am doing really well. Genuinely happy, content, and excited about life again. The therapy was instrumental, helping me process the grief and betrayal, understand my own worth, and rebuild my confidence. I finished therapy a few months ago, feeling equipped to handle things on my own. My career is going great. I actually got a promotion at work a couple of months back, something I had been working towards for a while. Pouring energy into my job was a healthy distraction initially, and it ended up paying off professionally. My friendships are stronger than ever. The friends who stuck by me through the mess are true gems, and I have made sure to nurture those relationships. We have had some great adventures over the past year, including a guy's trip abroad that was much needed and incredibly fun. We barely even talked about Stella, which was a relief. As for Stella, well, I have maintained strict no contact. I have no idea what she is up to, and I have zero desire to find out. Occasionally, a mutual acquaintance might mention something in passing, but I usually change the subject politely. I heard she moved out of her parents' place and is living on her own now. I sincerely hope she is okay and learned something from the experience, but her life is completely separate from mine now, and that is exactly how I want it. The chapter is closed, locked, and the key has been thrown away. There is no lingering anger or bitterness, just indifference, really, and a profound sense of gratitude that I am not married to her. Am I dating again? Yes, casually. I took a long time to focus solely on myself, which was important. But over the last few months, I have felt ready to dip my toes back into the dating pool. Nothing serious yet, just meeting new people, having fun, and figuring out what I truly want in a partner moving forward. The experience with Stella, while painful, taught me a lot about boundaries, red flags, and the importance of unwavering trust and commitment. I will not settle for anything less in the future. Looking back, ending the engagement so abruptly was the best decision I ever made. It hurt like hell at the time, and the fallout was messy, but staying would have been so much worse. Marrying someone who harbors those kinds of doubts and disrespects the relationship in such a fundamental way would have led to misery down the line. I saved myself from a lifetime of uncertainty and potential heartbreak. Max is still my loyal companion, snoring beside me as I type this. He's getting older but still loves his walks and belly rubs. So Reddit, I guess this is the final update. From heartbroken fiancé to a happy, healed, and hopeful single man. It was a rough journey, but I came out stronger on the other side. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the support, the validation, and the virtual kick in the pants I needed back then. Your collective wisdom was invaluable. I suppose my final question for the Our Relationship advice community is this. Reflecting on everything, do you think there is ever a scenario where a pre-wedding break to explore things with an ex could be considered remotely acceptable, or was my absolute refusal the only sane response? Just curious about final thoughts now that the dust has completely settled. Thanks again for everything. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.